everyone. My name is Bianca. I'm on the developer relations team at Prefect. Welcome to the first of many community spotlight series. We're very excited to be having our first session today with Kirill Egorov. He's the head of Quantitative Analytics at SilverTide Financial. Kirill, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Kirill. As Bianca mentioned, I'm a head of quantitative analytics at SilverTide. So, what we do as a company, so we're analytics and brokerage firm. So, what we do, we provide advanced research for hedge funds, and to deliver that, we develop internally advanced analytical platform, which combine together data, pricing, models, visualization, and the software that our clients consume both internally. So it's like I have internal research team, but we're also pushing for the software as a service business model so the clients can access our app directly.
Fantastic. Now, quantitative analytics is something that I'm a little bit new to, and there might be some viewers at home that this might be the first time that they're hearing of quantitative analytics. Could you tell us a little bit about what a day in a life looks like for someone that works in quantitative analytics or a quantitative analyst, rather?
Sure. So quantitative analytics is a branch of investments where you make investment decision based on models and data. So like in a high level. So the traditional investors make a decision either if they invest in companies by reading financial statements, or they read the economic news, or they do any form of fundamental analysis. On the other hand of the spectrum is the people who build models and use the model output to make the investment decisions. In a way, how we operate, it's more like a hybrid model. So we have fundamental views either from clients or from internal research team, and we use the models and tools on top to either optimize this decision or kind of point to the right part of the market where to look and focus.
What drew you to the field, and how did you find yourself in this position?
I've been in the field of applying data analytics in finance for quite some time. So my first job was a long time ago. I think it was in 2007, 2008 when I started in a bank, and I did a kind of data analytics for a treasury department. But at the time, like when I look back, it's like, oh, this was actually data analytics and data engineering. So we use like a very old school enterprise software which connected data from different data sources like a database and files, and we built the models which helps to make investment decisions for treasury management. So after that I moved to London, I studied finance and moved into more like derivatives pricing and investment analytics, but also I always was quite keen to use like data and technology to do it in a new way. So rather than like spend time building like one model and spend months and months doing that, I was more interested to like how we can build the models at scale. So how we can analyze like thousands different strategies using modern technologies. So again, like back in 2013, using cloud and big data in finance was relatively new, and this is what I was kind of keen to explore, and we built interesting business around that. Then I spent some time doing just a simple research in a more like traditional investment firm. But again, like even there, I was trying to kind of bring again like a cloud and the compute at scale to the traditional investment process. And after that, I've started together with the other founders a new company. So like we're building a company from scratch. And over the last 3 years, we've started from like nothing to a business across like multiple geographies, clients across the globe, and have like, as I said, like the local advisory business, but also technology business.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That is a really cool career path. I guess I kind of want to double click on this draw to cloud technologies. What inspired that exactly? Was it the lack of interest in just spending most of your time just training a single model? How did you get this vision for efficiency?
Sure. It was two things. I think number one, like I've seen how people used to do that. So they have like Excel spreadsheets with lots of different pages, and the people spend time opening it over and over again and looking through some patterns. Like I find it should be a better way to automate that. But also I've seen how in different part of investments, people make a decision by systematically creating trading signals. So I try to combine probably different two types of the market to creating something new. But also, as just like what moves me to the cloud, it's very simple. I tried to run my machine. I wasn't able to cope with that. We tried to use some multiple machines within the office. So this is like a hybrid distribution model, old school. Again, didn't quite work. So this was the next step, moving to the cloud, but then working directly with the instances on the cloud and doing it yourself is quite complicated, but we still managed to do something. But that was a path. Like it's a necessity to process more and more data, but also make it more stable. Like that's another problem. Like you spend most of the time as a data analyst is like looking at your data process. Does the pipeline work? Does the pipeline fail? If it failed, can I quickly fix it? So this is all kind of learning process, going through the pain of how to make sure you spend less time fixing data issues and more time on building models.
I see. So a few things that you said are resonating with me. I'm hearing automation, I'm hearing scalability, I'm hearing pipeline resiliency and monitoring for failures and successes. I think somewhere in the mix is where you started looking for orchestration.
Correct. Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep. Go
What
on.
go for it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you found Prefect? Was this around the time that you were evaluating tools to help you scale your processes?
First time we built that, it was again like back in 2016. So we looked for different solutions. There was like options like Luigi, which is already established, was quite very kind of cumbersome. And then the Airflow came into play, and we tried it out, and we used it for the few years. But I found it is very kind of complicated to run. You need like a dedicated engineering and infrastructure team to do it at scale. So when I moved to this company, when I started the new company, like I was the only person who can do everything. So I was looking for the solution to find what I can do to run the entire data pipeline on my laptop. Right. So, and this is how I ended up using Prefect, because like, oh, easy to start, easy to run locally, but it's also the whole idea of hybrid execution model where you can start migrating the execution from a local computer to the cloud at the time you need the scale. So this is kind of what got me attracted. So be able to start easy, scale easy, and also you don't need a dedicated team to do everything yourself.
I'm curious to hear a little bit about when you first started using Prefect, what resources were you leveraging to make the onboarding process a little bit easier? Were you looking at the documentation? Were you interacting with people in the community to learn the tool a little bit better? What did your learning process look like?
Yeah, I think I've started by watching quite a lot of YouTube videos. It's everything that happened like after pandemic. People was everything you do on YouTube, right? So at least that was for me. So I watched lots of demos on YouTube. Then yeah, looked at documentation. I think I went to the community eventually later, but the majority was like try it out, few things that you can do yourself, go to documentation, sometimes going to source code. So yeah, that was my path.
I believe I've seen you around in the Prefect community. I think that was one of the places that we became acquainted at first, circa maybe 2022 or 2023. What do you enjoy about being part of developer communities?
Yeah, I think this was quite interesting, but I also find the Prefect team is quite responsive. So I got in touch with one of your front end developers, and we got like had a couple of discussion on a few topics. So he asked me for the opinion, or what do you think about the new design of the new UI component. So we had like a call with another member of a community from a different part of the country. So it was a really interesting experience where like you can basically jump into the new product, engage and shape some. I think one of the features that you have right now is I ask specifically to have this feature, and it's there. I think it's pretty cool.
Well, what feature is it, if you don't mind me asking?
So when you look at the flow and you can see the task runs, you can have a different representation of the flows, and one of them you can sort them by time. So you see what task takes longer to run. So by the time they release the new functionality for that, I ask, oh, can because I wanted to see which task runs longer, so you can spend like if you want I want to optimize my flow. I want to focus on the slowest task. Which task is the slowest? So yeah.
Ah, fantastic. Well, I'm happy to hear that your feedback actually got incorporated into the product. That's super exciting, honestly, and I bet that felt good just in the end, and it made the product better overall. So thank you.
Yeah, no. As I said, I kind of appreciated your kind of responsiveness to this kind of request. I think it was pretty cool. I tried a few things to do with Marvin. I find this whole thing about like AI assistant on the question is pretty cool, and it was, which is interesting. It was long before all this Gen AI became like a hot topic, which I thought was quite interesting way to scale your support.
What did Prefect solve for your company? Were there any particular problems that you were looking to address that Prefect helped out with?
Prefect as a main tool to manage all of the data ingestion. As you can imagine, for the large financial analytics platform, we have variety of different data sources, which the data comes in different forms. We apply variety of different transformations to them. So it's be able to run effectively all of these different components, but also create like atomic steps. So if one of the step fails, it can easily be recovered without affecting everything else. So say we run analytics for 10 currencies and one currency for that particular day for some reason stop working, we don't want to affect any others. So be able to very quickly and easily says like, oh, fine, I built this pipeline for one currency, let me scale it for all of them, build a variety of different combinations. So that was quite helpful. Another thing that I find quite helpful, as already mentioned, is the whole idea of a hybrid model. There's a few things which only works in our internal network. So the execution engine should be local, but everything else which requires like a distributed compute and has to be a larger memory usage, we can move to the cloud. And again, it's like easy, fine. Today we're moving that flow, we just swap the deployment, done. For some reason, deployment doesn't want to work on the cloud, or today we don't want to run the cloud, we want to save cost. Let me run the same flow locally. That's super helpful.
Yes, yes, that resonates a lot. I feel like the fact that Prefect can be such a hot swappable tool where you can pick and choose your deployments and then have them be dynamic, react accordingly, or fit the needs to what you need for that day is it's a very nice aspect of the platform in general.
Which is interesting because I remember when I tried to understand this thing, I was really confused. Like, why do you need this? And it's like, can you tell me just one single way to do it? I thought this was like it's a over complication, but now when I kind of understood why you want to run a flow in a variety of different ways, I find it's very useful.
Yes, yes. A lot of people, when they get introduced with the concept of a deployment, it's fairly novel. So they have to come to this realization of like, what exactly should I be using this for? How does having multiple deployments make sense for me? And when you find yourself in this position, that's when it starts to click.
Like the good thing about the Prefect, it's not only ETL engine orchestration tool, so you can use it as a backend workflow engine, which is quite helpful. So as I said, so we have a few analytics where the client sends requests, runs the certain compute, and then brings back the result. So if we want to go and deliver this analytics from 10 users to 50 users, just doing it as in a simple API backend might not be scalable. So I can see that I can take this multi-step calculation, again, move it and create like a flow that can be executed on request with Prefect. And this was allows us to scale initially in the containers, but then like if containers wouldn't be enough, we can roll out the Kubernetes. But leveraging that aspects of Prefect, I can see that will be a very valuable and very helpful for us.
Do you have any recommendations or advice for those out there that are just getting started with Prefect? Any pointers that you can offer?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, because this deployment can be very confusing in the beginning, I would suggest to people don't worry about them. Just start with the flow, build the flow, make it run locally, and then just make sure you understand that aspect. And then later, when you start to scale and you worry about the production, then you can go and try to explore all of these different options. So you don't have to understand the entire thing. And again, I think it's the beauty of Prefect because again, if you compare with Airflow, if you don't understand how you're going to run this thing, you kind of have to solve everything at the same time. Here, that's not the case. You just can start running the flow and schedule it, and that's it. And you can run on your machine for now. I think it's quite helpful.
Well said. Thank you very much, Kirill. I appreciate your time today.
No worries.
Hope you all enjoyed back at home. I'll see you for the next one. Take care.
See you.